Hello and good morning, students. Once again, nice to see you in today's English grammar lecture. Quick revision lecture number 3. In the last lecture, we had covered chapter number 5, 6, 7 and 8. Well, in today's lecture, we will be covering the last 3 topics for semester 1, that is chapter number 9, question tags, which is itself a revision chapter, followed by the next one, that is chapter number 10, relative pronouns, and finally the last one, which is one of the most crucial and important one for anyone to learn or revise, is chapter number 11, tenses, as given to us in our text. Well, without further ado, let's look into the 9th chapter given to us on page number 74 from the You Know section. Question tags, as the name itself suggests, it is related to or connected to the previous chapter that we learned, that is asking and answering questions. When we looked into the previous topic, asking and answering questions, we discussed about the 2 types of questions that can be answered, that is the yes-no type question and the WH type question. Well, there is a third type of question which falls in the category of interrogative sentences, and that is question tags. Well, question tag being a very simple topic and easy topic to understand, shouldn't be much difficult for you to revise. Earlier you learned about question tags and we are just going to have a revision over here. As you can see, we don't have the Let's Learn section, we only have the You Know section. Well, that clearly indicates that you learned about this in the earlier class too. Well, what is a question tag first of all? Well, tag means a kind of a label or something that is applied to a thing, isn't it? So here we are applying a label or a tag in the end of a sentence in order to confirm the matter or a topic that we have expressed as a declarative sentence. Well, when you speak something, when you say something, whether it is affirmative or negative, at the end of that statement, whether the affirmative statement or the negative statement, you apply a question mark, something that you ask over there. This way of declaring and then asking is called question tags. It is one of the integral or important types of interrogative sentence. Well, let's read from the You Know section to acknowledge more about this. In English, people often make a statement and then add a question at the end, as I just said, isn't it? So in English, people often make a statement, you say something, you make a statement, the statement could be affirmative or negative, as I just said, and then add a question at the end of it. Well, this way of asking something, interrogating something, asking a question, is called question tag. Let's see the example to acknowledge better about this. Peter works hard, doesn't he? Another example, she comes home late, didn't she? She came home late, didn't she? She doesn't like reading, does he? And the fourth example, she can't see very well, can she? So if you carefully observe these 4 sentences, you will observe and find out that the first sentence, we have stated that Peter works hard. We are affirming, we are making an affirmative sentence over here that Peter works hard. But soon after that, what happened? A question was asked saying, doesn't he? So observe the question word over there, that is the auxiliary verb along with the negative word over there, does plus not, doesn't he? So Peter works hard followed by a negative question, doesn't he? So what did you understand? That when you make a positive statement, it is followed by a negative tag. A negative word is applied over there. So Peter works hard, doesn't he? The same way, she came home late. So we are saying that yes, Peter has come home late. But what is the tag applied over there? A negative tag, didn't he? So when you say something or when you declare or give a positive statement, it is followed by a negative question. This entire formation we refer to as question tag. One of the ways of asking a question, interrogative statement or interrogative sentence. Well, but the next 2 sentences, if you analyze, we are saying he doesn't like reading. So what is the statement being made over here? Is it an affirmative statement? No, it is a negative statement. We are stating, we are declaring something in the negative manner over here, followed by a positive question that is being asked. Does he? You see the pattern over here? Well, it's very important to observe the pattern. She can't see very well. So we are saying that she is unable to see very well. A negative statement is being passed over here, followed by a positive question that has been asked. Can she? So what happens basically over here? You say something and then you confirm or you affirm what you have said. Well, this manner or this way of asking a question is referred to as an English question tag. Well, let's take a better understanding with what is given to us. This type of sentence, a statement followed by a little question, is called question tag. It is generally used when we want the listener to confirm what we have said. Well, what is the use of this? When you want the listener who is listening to you, you want to make it confirm to the listener that see, I have said something and you have heard it correctly. So we make use of the question tag. Well, noticing the first one and the second statement, we can say that Peter works hard and she came home late are followed by a negative tag. Doesn't he and didn't she? Well, whereas the third and the fourth statement, he doesn't like reading and she can't see very well, are followed by a positive question tag. Does he and can she? So when a statement is positive, the tag is negative, and when the statement is negative, a tag must be positive. This is the simple understanding about question tags. A question tag is nothing but a kind of asking a question in order to make a confirmation to the listener. So I hope this is now very clear to you. And finally we have some examples given to us in the box. Let's quickly go through them. Negative question tags, where we have a positive statement, acknowledge this well. You are coming tomorrow. So we are saying to the person that you are coming tomorrow, to the listener. And then followed by the negative tag, aren't you? Are plus not, the negative word over there, aren't you? Similarly, we have the other positive question tags. You can read for yourself. She speaks English, doesn't she? So observe carefully what happened over here in the first and the second one. Just a word about it. You are coming tomorrow, and the tag aren't you was created with the help of the auxiliary verb already given to us in the positive statement. Have a very careful observation. You are, so we had the auxiliary verb are coming where the auxiliary verb was are. So simply we are adding the not into that are and creating the contraction over there. Well, contraction writing is very important. You don't write the full word are not you. No, we just write aren't you. So the tag can be obtained, can be written, can be created with the help of the auxiliary verb already given to us in the positive statement. But in the second statement, if you see, she speaks English, but you don't find any auxiliary verb over here. We are saying yes, she speaks English. She speaks English, but the word does plus not. So where did we get the does from? How do we say that we require the word does over here? Well, for that, you got to make a very simple thinking that if the verb that you have is in the present and the subject is singular, we make use of the word does over here. Okay, so she speaks English, doesn't she? So if the verb that has been used over here is in the simple present, we make use of either do or does. If the subject is singular, then does. If the subject is plural, then do. So you can very well see the positive statement with the negative tag, doesn't she. Similarly, the next one, they know her well, don't they? Now once again, if you acknowledge the statement, the declaration done over here, it is a positive declaration. We are saying that yes, they know her well. And what is the tag? A negative one. Don't they? But this time the word is do plus not. Why? Because we have the subject given to us as a plural subject they. Therefore, do plus not was used. How do I select the word do over here? Here the verb know is in the simple present. They know her well. So know is a verb in the simple present. Hence, as I just told you in the previous statement, we got to choose from do or does. Well, do is for the singular subject, and does is for the singular subject, and do is for the plural subject. So here the subject was plural, they. That is why we have used the word do plus not, the negative tag, but with the word do. The next you see, you have met her before. So once again, a positive remark is being made over here, a positive statement is said over here, followed by the negative tag, haven't you? But this time we had or we have the auxiliary verb have given to us. So it makes our work very simple. Have plus not, the contraction can be just made, the tag can be made with the help of the auxiliary verb present in the statement. Okay, so you have met her before. Similarly, next one, he came early this morning. So observe the statement very carefully. He came early this morning. So what are we saying? We are giving a positive statement over here. A positive thing is being told over here. He came. But observe the verb over here. The verb is in the simple past, isn't it? Came. Came is a word in the simple past. Therefore, easily you should be able to recall and understand that we require an auxiliary verb from one of the members of the do family, that is do, does or did. Well, can I select do or does? No. As I just told you, if the verb is in the simple present, we make use of the word do or does. But here we have a verb in the simple past. Therefore, it is compulsory to use the word did plus the contraction not. Hence, the contraction becomes didn't. So, he came early this morning, didn't he? So, this should now be clear to you. Finally, the last one, have a careful look. She will visit us tomorrow. A statement given to us in the simple future. The word will has been used over here. So, we still have the verb in the simple future, the tense in the simple future. So, when you write the tag over here, we will be utilizing the word will added with the negative word not. But when will gets added with not, what happens? A word which is created is not willant over here. We don't say will plus not willant. We'll have to contract it as won't. This is something that you must remember. Will plus not won't, and would plus not wouldn't. So this is the positive statement with the negative tags. So that is how we create it. But remember, as I explained, the utilization of the auxiliary verbs, sometimes you get it because the auxiliary verb is already present, like the word are was given, have was given. But when you don't have any auxiliary verbs, the main verb helps you to decide whether you will be using the member of the do family as do, does or did. If the verb is in the simple present, we make use of the word do or does depending upon the subject's singularity or plurality. But if the verb is simple past, then undoubtedly we use the auxiliary verb did to create the question tag. So I hope this is very clear to you now. The other side you see the positive tags given to you, where you have the statement negative. So let's read a few of them. She won't help us. So the very first one is given won't. Well, we just read over here she will visit us, where the word will was added with the word not to make the word won't. So now when you are separating, when you are writing a positive tag, we need to separate the contraction and find out a positive tag for ourselves. So won't is a combination of will plus not. Hence I will drop out the word will because I need a positive tag and not a negative tag. Therefore, in all these places we will be using a positive tag because the statement is negative. Hence, the not should be eliminated. The contraction should now be opened up, released up in order to find out the action doing word which is present in it. So, let's do it. She won't help us. Well, won't now split it into will plus not. Not will be eliminated and the will be selected. Will she? And whatever the subject is, whether it's a pronoun or whatever is given to us. So will she is the positive tag required over here. Next one, you shouldn't tell lies. So we have the word shouldn't indicating it is the combination of should plus not. Should is a model auxiliary verb. So now when I write the positive tag, I should be taking the word should after eliminating, dropping out the word not. So what is left over with me? Should. Should followed by the subject given to me. Here the subject is you. So should you becomes the required positive question tag with the negative statement. Well, gradually I hope you are understanding this very well. She doesn't look well. Does she? Well, in this sentence we already had the word doesn't, the auxiliary given to us. So the not will be removed, the does will be utilized, followed by the subject does she. Similarly, in the next three sentences, He hasn't finished his work yet, where we have the word hasn't, now used as a positive tag. Has he? I hope you are acknowledging this well. He can't understand English. So can't will now be separated as can plus not. So not will be eliminated and we choose the word can followed by the subject given to us, that is he. So can he? The last one we have, she didn't lie. Did she? So we already have the contraction didn't given to us made up of did plus not. Hence, similarly, what are we going to do? What we did in the other sentences, drop out the word not, choose the word did and make our positive tag did she. So I hope the question tag revision is now clear too. Let's move on to the next chapter given to us on page 78 about relative pronouns. Well, this is a chapter that you have been learning from class 6, isn't it? You learned about relative pronouns like who, which, that, the subjective form which is who, the objective form which is whom, and the possessive form which is whose. So it is not a new topic for you. Even in class 8 in this standard you learned about relative pronouns in details. Well, without further ado, let's look into the you know section followed by the let's learn section to find out what do we have to recapitulate, followed by the let's learn section. Well, I completely presume that you should be having the understanding about the personal pronouns, isn't it? You learnt about this in the earlier class. Words like he, she, it, the third person personal pronouns, I, we, you, these are all personal pronouns used in the subject part. Whereas the words like me, us, you, him, her, it and them, they are used in the predicate part. Whereas the words like mine, ours, yours, theirs, his, hers are all personal pronouns in the possessive case. Well, this is just a recapitulation from the last two classes that you should have knowledge about. Well, unlike these pronouns, that is the personal pronouns, which replace a noun, the role of a relative pronoun is not to replace them, perhaps to refer to the noun that you have spoken about in the earlier sentence. That is the basic role of a relative pronoun in a sentence. So, relative pronoun does not replace a noun, perhaps it refers to the noun which has been utilized earlier in the sentence. Well, let's see in the you know section. The pronoun, words like who, whose, whom, which and that, which join two sentences and relate or refer. As I just said, it does not replace, it relates or refers to the nouns which have gone before are called relative pronouns. So remember this very carefully. Relative pronouns never replace the nouns. They relate to it or refer to it. So I hope this is now clear to you. Well, you learned about how to join sentences in the earlier classes with the help of the relative pronouns like who, whom, whose, which, that. Well, let's see. The noun to which a relative pronoun refers or relates is called antecedent. So something that you are relating to in the sentence is called antecedent. So a new thing for you to revise if you have forgotten, antecedent. Say we are saying over here, this is the boy who won the first prize. So here the word boy to which the word who is referring to. Remember the word who is a relative pronoun and it is referring to the word boy over here. Therefore the word boy is understood to be the antecedent of the pronoun who over here. Therefore boy is the antecedent of who, which is a relative pronoun. I hope this is now clear to you. You did not learn about the word antecedent in the earlier class, but here you have to learn about. Although this is the you know section, but you may not have learned about this word earlier. So antecedent, one must remember, is the word that you are referring to. Well, let us see. Words like who, whose, whom are used only for persons. Well, you learned about this in the earlier class. Who, the subjective case, whom, the objective case, and whose, which is the possessive case or the possessive form of the word who, are used or utilized only for person. You don't use these words for relating to a object or an animal. So never make this mistake. You have necessary examples given to you. The man who is honest succeeds in life. So you see the word who is referring to the man over here in this sentence. Further, you have other sentences to acknowledge. Well, I'll just take one of them. This is the acrobat. This is the acrobat whom we saw yesterday. So in this sentence, if you carefully understand, the word whom is used. Why is the word whom used over here? Because we are referring to the word acrobat, which comes the second time probably in the predicate part as an object over here. Therefore, we have used the word whom and not who over here. Where in modern English, you've learned that we in spoken English sometimes use wherever it's applicable instead of whom, who. So I can say this is the acrobat who we saw yesterday. But I can say this only as a matter of spoken English but not as a matter of writing. Well, the next relative pronoun which is used for animals and things. You learned about this in the earlier class too. The horse which they bought last year is white. So what is being referred to? The same horse we are referring to. So probably we have discussed about or we have spoken about in our sentence about the horse earlier, and that is why now we are using the word which in order to refer to the same horse which they bought last year, and it is white in color. Well, you have other sentences to refer over here. You can see over there. You can read for yourself and understand that the word which is referring to either animal or things in these 4 sentences. Moving ahead to the word that is used for persons, animals and things. Well, he that is not with us is against us. So, here the word that is referring to the pronoun he over here. He that is not with us is against us. So, the word that refers to the pronoun he over here, which we probably may have used earlier to refer to. Well, the next example, this is the horse that won the race. Have a careful look. We are pointing out to some horse as a demonstrative pronoun. This is the horse that won the race. But alternatively, people ask that can we write which over here? Yes, definitely you can write over here. But as a part of learning, if I let you know that sometimes when you use a demonstrative pronoun, when you point out to something and you say, then it is preferable to write the word that rather than writing which. Well, it is not absolutely wrong, it is absolutely correct. We can say this is the horse which won the first race or that won the first race. This is the house that Jack built, or this is the house which Jack built. Well, at the moment we are just considering the word that over here. So I hope the you know section is now clear to you about these relative pronouns like who, which, that, and the objective and possessive case of who, that is whom and whose. Well, let us look into the let's learn section. What is the new thing that we got to recapitulate and revise? Relative pronouns can be used to join together 2 sentences. Well, you learned about this in the earlier class too. Let us see what is the new thing that we need to understand. Remember these rules when using relative pronouns to add a clause to a sentence. So we will be concerned more about not just joining but to add a clause to a given sentence. Well, let us see. Place the word who or which immediately after the word to which it refers. So that is a very, very highly important thing to remember. Many a times when you place the word who or which or the relative pronoun that you are using in the incorrect position of a sentence, the entire meaning changes. Well, let us see and understand. So, place the word who or which immediately after the word to which it refers to. That is the noun, that is the antecedent what we just spoke about. Well, this is the boy. One sentence, he won the first prize. Now let me see, where can I put the word who over here? This is the boy who won the first prize. So where has the word who been kept? Soon after the word boy, because we are referring to the boy in the previous sentence as a subject part over there. This is the boy won the first prize, or he won the first prize. So we are referring to the same boy about which we just spoke in the first sentence. So remember, we are not replacing, we are referring over here. But the word who is to be placed immediately after the word boy over here, because it is referring to that. Well, next one, place a comma before and after the sentence that is woven into the body of the main sentence. Sometimes it happens that you have one sentence and another sentence. So when joining them, you are unable to directly join between the 2 sentences. Let us see an example. Ashok won the first prize. He is my cousin. Now over here, if I write Ashok won the first prize, who is my cousin. If I just simply write the word who between these two sentences over here, as I did in the first sentence, have a careful look. This is the boy. He won the first prize. So where was the word who placed? Immediately at the end of the first sentence, the boy, because it was referring to that, who won the first prize. But if I follow the same pattern in this sentence, Ashok won the first prize. And after the word prize, if I keep the word who over here, who won the first prize? So what will happen? Who is my cousin? So am I saying the prize is my cousin? No, I don't mean to say the first prize is my cousin. But it means like that. Ashok won the first prize. Who is my cousin? Well, the first prize is not my cousin. Ashok is my cousin. So I am utilizing the word who for Ashok and not for the first prize over here, not for the word prize over here. Therefore, I need to take some portion of the second sentence and write it along with the first sentence, applying the relative pronoun in the right place, in the right position. This way of writing is called weaving a sentence into the first one, weaving the second sentence the first one. Let's see how it is done. Ashok, who is my cousin, won the first prize. So I hope you are carefully observing. Ashok is the word that I just used, the subject, followed by the portion of the second sentence, is my cousin. So I have picked up the word is my cousin and written it soon after the word Ashok, utilizing the relative pronoun, keeping the relative pronoun between over there. Ashok, who is my cousin? Now here the word who is referring to Ashok and it has been kept immediately after the word Ashok. Therefore, this makes sense over here. Ashok, who is my cousin, won the first prize. In order to write this, what happens? We have to apply commas before and after the sentence which has been woven into it. So you can see what did we weave over here? Is my cousin. The words is my cousin were used from the second sentence and merged with the first one. Therefore, we need to apply the comma. So I hope this is clear to you. Another example, my brother will never trust you. One sentence, you have cheated him. So, my brother will never trust you. You have cheated him. Well, my brother. So, whom have you cheated? Somebody's brother has been cheated, or you cheated that one. So, my brother, whom you have cheated. So, we require the objective form of the verb, the relative pronoun whom over here. Well, the previous one we used the word who, because here the subject we were referring was in the subject part. The pronoun that we were referring over here. Is it the noun or the pronoun? But here we are referring to a noun or a pronoun which is in the predicate part as an object. In the second sentence, you have cheated him. So observe the word him over here. So we are utilizing or we are referring to the word him which has been used as the word my brother in the first sentence. Because we are utilizing for the word him which is given to us in the predicate part as an object, therefore we require the objective form of the relative pronoun who and not who over here. Therefore, my brother, comma, whom you have cheated, once again we have the comma, will never trust you. Because we have woven the second sentence into the first one and applied an appropriate relative pronoun in the correct position. So I hope this is now clear to you. Well, acknowledge the next one. Mr. Gill is my neighbor. Well, his eldest son is an engineer. Now, if I just try to join the two sentences in a very common manner, Mr. Gill is my neighbor. Mr. Gill is my neighbor whose eldest son is an engineer. So what happens over here? Mr. Gill is my neighbor whose eldest son is an engineer. Does that make sense? Well, basically not, isn't it? But I need to write, I am emphasizing upon Mr. Gill and not just the neighbor. So, neighbor could be anyone over here. So, I am emphasizing he is the son of Mr. Gill. So, Mr. Gill, whose eldest son is an engineer, is my neighbor. So, you see, if I happen to write over here, Mr. Gill is my neighbor, whose eldest son is an engineer, will not bring out the correct sense over here. Therefore, I need to write Mr. Gill, the son belonging to Mr. Gill. Therefore, I need to apply the word whose over here and interweave the sentence. Mr. Gill, who is that Mr. Gill? Whose son is an engineer? is my neighbor. Therefore, I need to apply the commas in both the places. So I hope the meaning is now clear to have a look at the next two sentences. The watch keeps good time. It was presented to me by my uncle. This is a sentence in the passive voice. Acknowledge it, by my uncle. So the watch, I'm talking about the watch. So the watch, which watch am I talking about? The one that my uncle gave me, which he presented me. So the watch which was presented, so I have utilized some portion of the second sentence and woven into the first one. The watch which was presented by my uncle, comma, keeps good time. If I happen to write the word which about the between the sentence, then it would not make any sense over here. The watch keeps good time, which was presented to me by my uncle. So I am saying good time is presented to me. No, the watch is presented to me. So if I happen to write the word watch, which the relative pronoun after the word good time, then it will not make any sense over here. Well, so it's important to interweave it correctly. Well, acknowledge the last one. It's a different one. The old farmer had a goose. The goose laid a golden egg every day. This is a completely different sentence than what we just did in the previous three sentences. An old farmer had a goose which laid. So here we talk about the goose over here, isn't it? So we don't have to interweave the sentence over here. Directly we can just write it as the first sentence we did when we discussed about this is the boy who won the first prize. So an old farmer had a goose. We are talking about the goose. Therefore we can directly write the word which over here, which laid a golden egg every day. So no weaving is required over here. So I hope the difference between this and the previous three sentences is now clear to you. Turn to the next page. We have note, no commas are required if the relative pronoun is not inserted in the body of the main sentence. The last sentence that we saw, we were not interweaving the body of the second sentence into the first one. Hence, we did not use any commas in that last sentence over there. Well, you have learned that when sentences are linked together by a relative pronoun, it is necessary to place the connecting word immediately after the noun to which it refers. This is what we learned, isn't it? That the relative pronoun should be kept, or the linking word should be kept immediately after the noun it is referring to. And in case that doesn't happen, it completely changes the meaning. It could become a weird sentence. You can land up into a weird situation. Let us see. Here are some examples in which this rule has not been observed, it has been flouted. So not observed, not followed. The bicycle was found by the side of the road, which had a punctured tire. So if you read the continuous sentence over here, bicycle was found by the side of the road, which, so where is the word which? Road. So what is it referring to? Road, which had a punctured tire. So did the road have a punctured tire? No, that is not what we meant to say. But because it has been written over there, it is meaning like this. So you see, if the rule is not followed, then it becomes a meaningless, or it completely changes its meaning. The woman found the lost child who works in our office as a receptionist. Well, here the word who, the relative pronoun, has been used after the word child, indicating as if the child works as a receptionist. No, we don't mean to say that. That the woman found a lost child who works in our office as a receptionist. No. We mean to say something else, and what do we mean has been given to us. Well, these sentences sound absurd, they are weird. We should rewrite them as follows. The bicycle, followed by the word which, the relative pronoun, which had a punctured tire. Now it sounds correct over here. Now it means correct over here. Was found by the side of the road. Similarly, the woman who works in our office. So the word who was to be written after the word woman, which was the antecedent, what we were referring to. As a receptionist, found the lost child. So it's the woman working in the office as a receptionist happened to find the child, not the child working in the office as a receptionist. So I hope the utilization of the relative pronoun in the correct place is now well understood by you. Well, moving on to the next one, the next chapter, that is tenses. Well, you have very well understood about the 12 tenses in the regular lectures, what I tried to explain to you. So I'll be giving you a very brief idea about these tenses. So let's go through them. And altogether we have got 12 tenses to understand, isn't it? We have 12 tenses in English grammar. Well, each tense refers to a time period and the action that has been done. We have in chronological order: the simple present, the simple past, simple future, the present continuous, the past continuous, the future continuous, the present perfect, the past perfect, and the future perfect. And finally, the combination of the two is the present perfect continuous, the past perfect continuous, and the future perfect continuous. Well, for all this, we have a structure to follow that I had explained in the regular lectures. You can refer to that. Well, reading from the Let's Learn section given to us, the simple present is used to express what is actually taking place now. Well, generally speaking, what happens now is using a simple present tense when you want to talk about the current situation, something that's happening. But we are not saying at the time of speaking, but what happens in the current time. That is where we use the simple present. So that was one of the uses of simple present. Well, examples have been given, which I will not read for you. You can go through it. Another use is to express habitual action. When you are in a habit of doing some action again and again on a daily basis, there too we make use of the simple present and not any other tense. Followed by universal truths. When you are talking about something that is universally true at all given point of time, isn't it? The sun rises in the east. Can I say the sun rose in the east? No. The sun always rises in the east. It's a universal fact. Water boils at 100 degrees C. So I will not write water boiled at 100 degrees C. I can't use the past tense over there. So likewise, whenever you use a universal truth, we make use of the simple present to write a sentence. Well, next one and the last one, to express a future action. Yes, in order to express a future action, I'm not saying future time, but a future action at the current time when you are saying that this is going to happen, we make use of the present tense, simple present tense, in order to indicate something that is not happening now, but it is going to happen. As you see in the example, the school closes on the 10th, but the school hasn't closed now. But at the current time, we are talking about some action of the future. Therefore, the school closes on the 10th. It is going to close down. Right now, it is not closed. So, a future action is being represented utilizing the simple present tense. These were the 4 uses of the simple present. Moving ahead with the next one, the present continuous and its uses. Well, present continuous is used to express an action at the time of speaking. When the action is going on and you are talking about it, we make use of the present continuous. As I can say, right now I am explaining. So I am explaining. The work of explaining is going on at the time of speaking. So I will have to use the present continuous in order to say this. Well, you have examples for that. You can go through it, acknowledge this. Well, this tense is sometimes used to mark an action that will happen in future. So just like the simple present, we sometimes use this tense, the present continuous tense, to mark a future action, a future happening also. I am leaving for Delhi tomorrow. Well, you are not leaving now. You don't say I am leaving now. You are saying that you will be leaving. So the future expression, a future happening is being indicated utilizing the present continuous tense. I am leaving for Delhi, but when? So I hope this is clear to you. Next tense is the present perfect. It is used to express an action that has just been completed. So when an action gets just completed, or no matter the word just is used or not, we acknowledge this as a perfect tense, the present perfect tense. Well, the next use is to express a past action and the result of which still continue. So something that has started in the past and the result of that is still in continuation. For example, you started living in some place, and at the moment, at the time of explaining it to someone, telling it to someone, you are still living in that place. Well, I have lived in Mumbai for 10 years. So we mean to say it implies that the speaker is still living in Mumbai. Clear? Okay. Then we have to express a future perfect when such words as when, before, as soon as, till, after are used before it. So when we make use of these words before it, we express the given tense in the future, in the present perfect tense over here. Well, I shall go there after I have done my lessons. You see, after indicating a future time, a future action. But the tense used over here, I shall go there. Shall go. So, I shall go indicates future, and what I use over here? Have done. After I have done. So, have done is the tense in the present perfect. in order to show that I will go, I shall go, about a future action. Well, the next one, the present perfect and continuous, the combination of the two. So, structure should be very clear in your mind. What does it show? It shows the action that began in the past and is continuing up to the present time. So, it began in the past and is still continuing up to the present time. It is in action, it is going on. So, I have been working for 2 hours. So, you started your work 2 hours ago and at the moment also you are working. Well, you have a note given to you. In the present perfect continuous tense, we use the words like since to indicate a point of time and for to indicate a period or a duration of time. We learnt about this earlier and you got a number of sentences to acknowledge, which I had explained earlier. But I'll just take one sentence. Ali has been reading this book since January. So I'm talking about a particular month. Since that time up to now, it is going on. The action of reading is going on. Similarly, if I want to say that the action is in having a duration period, then I will be using the word for. Acknowledge the sentence. We have been waiting for you since 8 o'clock. That is also about the exact point of time. The boys have been playing football for 3 hours. You see, it is not since a point of time. If the sentence was the boys have been playing football since 9 o'clock, since 12 o'clock, then we had a distinct point of time. No, here it is being said 3 hours, not 3 o'clock or 3 p.m. But if 3 p.m. or 3 o'clock is written, it's a definite point of time and then we'll be using since. Otherwise, if you are showing about the duration of time, it's like one over here, for 3 hours. So, it should be now clear to you. Next is the simple past. The simple past is used to express that something was done or took place at a particular time in the past. So, something had happened in the past. Simple past. Well, to express a habitual action, just like we had the habitual action for the simple present, simple past is also used, but the action should be in the past. To express an action actually going on at the time it started. So, to express an action that actually was going on at that given point of time when it had happened. So, that is also where we utilize the simple past. Well, moving on to the next one, the past continuous indicates that the action was going on at the time in the past referred to. So, at that given point of time when you are talking about that past, the action was in continuation. The past perfect. It is used to denote an action which had been completed at some point of time. So, you talk about a past time, but the action is not going on neither in the present time nor is it going on at that given point of time. It is completed. Just like we said, the present perfect gets complete just now. So, at that time in the past it got over at that given juncture of time, point of time. Well, before another action commences. So, we have to acknowledge that the past perfect indicates two actions, the completed action and the subsequent action, the following action. So, the past perfect is used to denote action which had been completed at some point of time in the past before another action commenced. Well, for this one you need to be a little careful. Next we have the past perfect continuous. Well, the name indicates in the past and the perfect and the continuous shows that action had begun prior to the past time. So, it had begun prior to the past time being referred to. So, an action that had started prior to the past time being referred to. You are talking about some past time, even before that the action had started. Next we have the simple future, which denotes an action that is going to happen in the future. Simple to understand, isn't it? An action that is not happening now, it has not happened, but it is likely to happen in the future or is going to happen. Similarly, we have the future continuous. Well, the action would be in continuation. It will be going on, but not now, not in the past, but in the future time. So, you are talking about something that will be in action as a going on thing, just like we saw about the present continuous at the time of speaking, past continuous at the past time, but that time it was going on. Similarly, in future, this action would be in continuation. So, that is future continuous. Next, we have the future perfect, which denotes that an action will be completed at some point of time in the future, indicating that this action, whatever we are talking about, will have been completed, not now, in the future time. Well, next we have the future perfect continuous tense, the combination of the two. Shows that an action, whether finished or unfinished, it could be both. It could be a finished one or it could be an unfinished one. They has been in progress for some time. So what are we saying? An action in the future time that is either finished or unfinished. If it is unfinished, it is in continuation, isn't it? So that is what it shows, but not in the current or the past, in the upcoming time, in the future time. Well, you have examples for that, you can read through it. Well, note the future perfect continuous is quite uncommon in English. We don't use this in our speech, so there is nothing to bother much about. And these were the 12 tenses that we had to acknowledge about the from the text in the let's learn section. Further, you have errors in the use of tense, and all these errors are having different sentences for us to acknowledge. So you can go through this and read for yourself and assist yourself. In case you have doubts, you can feel free to ask me. Well, this was all about the chapter tenses given to us in the first let's learn section over here, followed by the next let's learn section we have on page 92 and 93. It's about the future intention, something that you are intending to do, about the going to form. So I have explained about this in the earlier lecture. Going to is used to indicate intention, what is considered likely or probable to happen, but you have a feeling that it may happen, or the future time where no reference to external condition or circumstances has been shown. So this is about the future intention, future tense of intention, where you are having intentions to do something. Finally, we have on page number 93 about the sequence of tenses. This is one thing that you need to acknowledge. Well, if the principal clause is in the simple past, then it should be followed by a past in the subordinate clause as well. But we have exceptions to this rule also, and it has been learned by you earlier while observing this rule, that when the principal clause in the past, the subordinate must be in the past. But if we have a universal truth, this rule stands null and void. We have to utilize the tense according to the sentence whatever is required. As you can see, Galileo proved that Earth revolves around the sun. Now here Galileo proved is a sentence in the past. Galileo proved is the main clause in the simple past, but the following clause, the subordinate clause with the word that the Earth revolved around the sun. No, we are not using the simple past, although as per the rule we should be. Here this is an exception to the rule what we just learned, that if the principal clause in the past, the subordinate must be in the past. But if it is a universal truth, then we don't use this. Well, similarly the next rule over here, when a subordinate clause comes after, then it may be put in any tense required by the context. So it is contextual, depending upon the context what you write, whether it is simple present, simple past, or whatever is required. Well, finally, when the verb in the principal clause is in the present or future tense, the verb in the subordinate clause may be in any tense required by the content. Okay, the context given to us. Finally, on the next page we have a little thing to acknowledge. When the subordinate clause comes after the word lest, this is something very important to remember. When the subordinate clause comes after the word lest, the auxiliary verb in it is always should. So we are utilizing the model auxiliary verb should as a compulsory format over here. Whatever be the tense of the verb in the principal clause, no matter whatever the principal clause has the verb over there, whether it's a simple present, we use the word should after the word lest. Have a look at an example, very important. She works hard. So you can see the word works is in the simple present. She works hard lest she should fail. So what is the should over here? Should is the past of shall, isn't it? Should is the past of shall. No matter the principal clause was in the simple present, she works was in the simple. Despite of that, we have used the word should over here after the word lest she should. So it's a complete fixed pattern over here that we must use the word should whenever the word lest is utilized, no matter in the principal clause it is simple present, simple past, or whatever the tense it is. I wrote it down. So you see, wrote is the simple past. I wrote down the phone number lest I should forget. So once again, irrespective of whatever the tense the principal clause verb has, we will be utilizing lest followed by the word should. Finally, you see the last example. We shall courier the invitation. We shall indicate simple future. Despite of that, lest they should be delayed in the mail. So we are utilizing the word should over here, which is simple past. So I hope the understanding of these tenses and the main understanding about the utilization or the sequence of tenses is now clear to you. Well, this was all for the 3 chapters that we had to revise and recapitulate in the quick revision lecture 3. See you soon in the upcoming lectures. Then take care. Have a nice day.